Okay, back again. So I get a newsletter. I've been getting it for a good while now. I have, I'm just trying to keep up with everything. Uh, I I have no doubt that our money is disappearing every day. That is, it's dissolving. It's fading away. We hold on to it, and every time I go to the store, uh, everything costs a little bit more. We're all experiencing that. It's called inflation. It's been happening to our dollar forever, and at least to the current dollar since 1913 when they came up with the scheme that we're living with under the Federal Reserve right now. But so it's going. Our money disappears. We know that. Nothing new. But so how do you keep that from disappearing? Well, one way you can do it. There's uh, you can invest in precious metals, and there one way of doing that is to because maybe you have a safe at home. I don't know, but one way of doing it, which I think is an excellent way of doing it, because I don't want it to be a problem for me, is you can invest like either in an IRA. There are precious metal IRAs where if you're not 70 years old yet, you can, or whenever before you retire, you can start putting away your money there instead of into some other kind of investments. And or you can look at things like some people may invest in land. That's something to do, right? Or you can put it into Bitcoin or other kind of cryptocurrency kind of things. And they normally call you've got Bitcoin, and then everything else is sort of thrown together as altcoin. But there's just multiple of these um, cryptocurrency programs, and there's others like you've probably heard of Ethereum, and which is a very popular one. And recently, there's a lot about XRP in the news. Uh, and because things are going on with XRP, which isn't just a coin, but it's like an operating system. It's a system of trading that you can send money around. You might remember that the U.S. Hit Russia with wouldn't let them use SWIFT anymore. SWIFT was a program that takes money from a bank in one country to a bank in another country, right? It's the way you move money around the world, and they said you can't do that. You're out of SWIFT, and that made Russia go off and do a lot of the things it's done in the last couple of years, which includes creating BRICS. So, and so XRP is a program that helps very quickly. It is supposed to be superior to SWIFT, in fact. So anyway, there's options. And since I've been trying to study, not that I'm not I'm not a financial expert, and I'm not giving you any advice myself, of course, but uh, I have I just try to keep up with different kind of things. So one of the things I get is this newsletter that comes from a guy named Sylvain Sorel or Sorel or whatever. He's French, and he sent one out the other day, and actually he had multiple. It was just an email that had multiple articles on it, and I just sort of noticed one or two of them and thought they would be worth sharing. So I'm going to do that at this point. Now he is a Bitcoin, specifically Bitcoin apologist. Okay, he's not an apologist for everything else, but he is a Bitcoin apologist, and he wants you to know that you can trust Bitcoin. So I'm going to read about this a little bit, and this is from December the 21st that I got this. Skipping on down here, he states, you must first, as far as investing in Bitcoin, you must first understand that Bitcoin is not about maximizing your profits in weak money, which is in the dollar, which is weak. It's not about maximizing, making the most money you can make on the dollar. Not that you can't cash it in for dollars, but that's not the point he's saying. but rather about offering you two far more essential things: time and freedom. And then he goes on to explain it. Uh, he makes a comment about one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin is not a meme, it's a reality. It's a concept that you need to integrate in a way of thinking. But Bitcoin is all about power. Let's see. I don't want to read the whole article. Whether the price of Bitcoin is $107,000 for one Bitcoin or $94,000, it doesn't change the fundamental freedoms that Bitcoin offers you. So, Bitcoin in like 2012, Bitcoin was for 11 cents. If you'd bought, put $100 into Bitcoin today, you'd be crazy rich, right? Because it's bouncing up there. It got up to 107,000, and it's bounced back down to close to 90, not quite, and it's back up to around 100. It's going up and down, up and down. It tends to go up and then down and then up and then down, as a lot of investments may. It's volatile. It doesn't just go straight up, and neither does gold or silver. Same thing. Gold and silver went on a tear here for a good bit of 2024, and then it hit a high several weeks ago, about a month ago, and now it's dropped down a little bit. It's still way more it was, what was it? It was 5 years ago. It was like 13. A silver coin would be around $13-14 or something like that, or at least the spot price was about $13. Crazy. So it's really, maybe it was a little bit more, but anyway, it hadn't been very much different than that. So and now it's around $30 spot. Okay, spot price. So these things go up, and then they'll drop back down and go back up some more. So it doesn't matter how much it costs. Or what its price is. The thing is, it's always there for you. Whereas with a currency, all around the world, all the time, currencies are they just stop using them. Well, that $100 bill, Zen or Yen or Zango or Wangos or whatever a country may call its coin, it's now, worth nothing. And remember, it was was it Zimbabwe that they had $1 million bills or something like that, just something insane for their currency, and it just kept going. They just have to discontinue using the currency. This because it becomes of no value, so they have to stop using it. So a Bitcoin, it will always be there. Like a piece of gold, a nugget of gold is always going to be a nugget of gold. That's the point that he's trying to make. Now, Bitcoin requires electricity. If we ever got to the point where no one has electricity, then you're going to be out of luck. But by that time, you're going to be out of all kind of other luck too. So you probably won't be caring too much about whether you have $1 million in Bitcoin or not. Anyway, Bitcoin is now up. As I said, it was at $11 not even 15 years ago, and 11 cents not even 15 years ago, and now it's right around $100,000. So that's not doing bad. So he lists the things that it offers. Number one, freedom to receive. No one can prevent this transaction from taking place. When you use your Bitcoin to purchase something from around the world, no one can stop you. You don't have to. You do not need to ask permission from a third party, as in the case with the banking system. And I don't know whether you've noticed or not, but I went to the bank not long ago, sometime last year, and I was just moving money around, from one thing to another, and they're asking me, what are you doing with this money? Well, it's none of their business what I'm doing with my money, is it? I don't. It's one thing if the banker is my good close friend that I do all kind of things with, but I really don't feel like I need to be telling somebody who's pretty much a stranger to me what I'm doing with my money, because I can do whatever I want to with my money, right? But that's not what's happening right now. They want to know what you're doing with your money. So you don't have that issue freedom to receive money, freedom to send money or Bitcoin. You don't have to wait for your bank to open or for your transfer order to be executed. So whenever you want to buy something, you don't have to sit around wait till 10 o'clock in the morning for the bank open and then go in and sit there and wait for the bank employees to get through drinking their coffee and finally get around to talking to you. I'm sure they're doing other important things, but you know, you just do it as you want to. So that's a nice freedom, which is, that's all good. And since we're so self-centered, we like things to happen immediately. So it's good to be able to, you know, feed your self-centeredness with instant what you want, right? Okay, and then freedom to hold. And this, he's saying, you can hold that Bitcoin just like you can with your collectibles, your baseball cards that you hold, your collectible coins that you hold, your pennies from all over the history of the United States, or whatever it is that you want to hold, you can hold it. Now, and it has a comment here. If you had left, now, as I said just a second ago, our dollar is disappearing, right? So holding your dollar is not a good deal. And it was very hard it's been hard for people even of my generation to finally get this, because, we thought everything was supposed to be good forever, right? So if you had left $1,000 in the bank in 1971, this is only 1971. I'm already a grown up by 19. No, I'm not. I'm in high school by 1971. But if I was going out mowing yards and making $1,000 in the summer, and if put it in my savings account, the value of my $1,000 would not even represent $124 in purchasing power by 2024. It'd be $123.93. And that's a loss of 87.6%. So it's a good thing that I just irresponsibly wasted my money over the years. Because I wouldn't have any of it left. So, that Dairy Queen ice cream was a good investment. Anyway. And then he goes on to say the U.S. dollar was designed to be spent. The Bitcoin was designed to be saved. And what's going on with Bitcoin right now, I've been listening to other things, etc., is that it's basically what Bitcoin is serving as. Bitcoin, I mean, you can't just go out and if you owned one Bitcoin. And of course, you don't have to own one Bitcoin. You can own 1/1,000,000th of a Bitcoin. Okay, you can own a derivative number. You're not owning a derivative though. Unlike derivatives in the stock market, that's just meaningless in a sense, But you actually own that much of it's like having a flake of gold or whatever. Okay, it's still worth something. So you can the value of that Bitcoin is you can hold it and it will retain value. Whereas, as I just pointed out, if you had $1,000, so if I bought $1,000, if Bitcoin had existed in 1971 with this that he just shared, if it had existed, then my Bitcoin would still be worth at least that $1,000 would not, well, of course, it wouldn't be worth $1,000. It would be probably worth tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars by now, the way it's been increasing in value. But it would at least have maintained its value in all probability, whereas the dollar just disappeared on me, didn't it? Or the $1,000 disappeared and is down to that small of amount. So Bitcoin is because it's not easy to transfer like some things, and that's why things like XRP or other kind of cryptocurrencies are more practical for making a purchase, because they're worth $4 a piece or something, whatever the Bitcoin is. I'm just throwing out a price. So your Bitcoin's worth $4. You can give somebody two of so and so XYZ Bitcoin, and you've got for an $8 purchase, right? Whereas Bitcoin now, the way it's been set up, and if you notice, I'm going to put down below a couple of videos, at least one, that I think relate to this very well, that might inform you a lot more by somebody who knows more about it, much more about it, who is on top of things to a large extent, really keeping his nose in it. And you'll find out by listening to that video that the powers that be, they're pretty much arranging things now for Bitcoin to be a holding of value kind of situation. And this is why Trump is talking about having the US dollar backed by Bitcoin or whatever the idea is he's got. And so you've got now you've got major, like BlackRock, these big companies are now investing heavily in Bitcoin. So they're not investing in it in order to, they're buying up Bitcoins. They're not buying it up so that they can trade it around with you. They're buying it up in all probability because they know the value of the dollar is going to turn into dust here pretty soon. And because how much is your steak at the store now? Or your ground beef? Or your bacon? And what was it a year ago? Right? So the value is disappearing. So Bitcoin gives you the freedom because its price keeps increasing over time, and I mentioned that, and it's doing it with volatility. So if you want to go buy Bitcoin, you need to have the mindset, well, I'm just going to hold on to this. And they call that hodling for all you old farts that don't know these things. Hold on for dear life, okay? Hodl. So that's what you're supposed to do. And same thing if you're buying your gold and silver these days, you want to do that too, because it appears that all of this has been going up and will continue to go up. And it's really not going up at all. What it's really doing is just maintaining value. And you've probably heard the example of how if you bought a loaf of bread with gold in Roman days, that loaf of bread would be worth the same amount of gold today. Okay, even though the loaf of bread maybe costs thousands of times more today than it did in Roman times, but the same amount of gold would buy that loaf of bread today as it did in Rome. And the same kind of example would be given for Bitcoin and that kind of thing. That's the way it preserves wealth. So with Bitcoin, it's in your best interest to work hard because your hard-earned money continues to increase in value over time. This is because Bitcoin has a maximum supply that is hard capped at 21 million units. So that's why gold is worth so much as well, is that it's just not laying out, and it's not like nuts growing on a tree, right? It's something that there may be a good bit of gold in the world if you can get to it, but it's not something that's just easily accessible to you. And the same thing with silver, which there's even far less silver in the world than gold. This is because Bitcoin has a maximum supply and that is hard to cap at 21 million units, and this incredible paradigm shift is only understood by a minority of people on Earth. So, since it's only understood by a minority of people on Earth, now you and I understand that as well. What we do with it, it's up to us, right? And it takes a little bit of doing. It's not beyond being able to get involved with, but if you're interested in holding on to what you have and not letting it slip away, then this is something that you might want to think about. Maybe you have other options that you're already working with and may have been working with for years, okay? But if you want to diversify into that a little bit, then that's something to think about. But I'm just sort of hitting on things that interest me, that I think are worthy to talk to other people about. You may or may not know anything about this stuff, and if not, you've learned something. If so, I've bored you. Nonetheless, uh, I'm doing videos on a variety of things. I'm here talking to myself, and I'd appreciate it if you would like this and subscribe so that I can find out that I'm not just talking to myself, that there's actually people out there who appreciate my musings and who enjoy it enough to listen to me on occasion. Um, this is just me trying to give to the world. It's my way of doing it. So hit like, hit subscribe, share it with your friends, of course, and understand that I talk on a variety of topics. I'm sort of like a liberal arts, what do you call it? Uh, Words not coming to my mind. But anyway, I'm not going to get really heavy into science and most things, not into deep science. I'm not going to get into deep astrophysics or anything like that. But science is something that I've, in my own profession, had to deal with life, whether plants live, etc. And so, there's aspects of that, and just in my own life as far as medicine, medical stuff with family, etc. There's plenty of things I've run into that by this time in life, which if you're, 30 years old, you don't know much about maybe. But so there's all kind of things that I just sort of put together. Uh, they fit together in different ways to me, and I try to put them together for you and give you something to think about as well. But hopefully it'll improve your view of life or etc. Have a good day.